Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back, loyal viewers. I'm Carrie, the nosy housefrau, and today I am sticking my nose in on the piping hot tea that is James Charles's new video, An Open Conversation. Now, correct me if I'm right, but isn't an open conversation usually two ways? Okay, putting that aside, I have to admit, James Charles's makeup came out pretty good, considering he shouldn't have even had a steady hand with all that sidestepping he was doing at the same time. I mean, really, James? A full face of makeup while taking accountability? Air quotes. You can hear the air quotes in my voice. For anyone who might be fooled by this blood-boiling cavalier return, let me give you some highlights of the minimization and deflection in James Charles's latest video. He starts out saying he took time off to grow and take accountability. See, this might be another reason James likes young, impressionable minds. Who over the age of 15 would believe that load? Of course you left to let the heat die down. We've seen it a million times. He probably did it under the advice of counsel from the law offices of Jacqueline and Hill. No one is ever honest about that kind of time off, and maybe we can't expect them to be. But he did not leave to learn and grow. In my opinion, if he had, perhaps he wouldn't have come back with the same exact lame excuses that he's used over and over again. And if James is coming back with the same line, "I was lied to, as soon as I knew I blocked them," then I'm going to give him the same response I had months ago. That card can maybe be played once. You were told again and again to stop talking to minors. I'm trying to not get too emotional, people, because this is infuriating. The pattern is clear to anyone with a brain. He engages with them. He calls it flirting, and that's a very convenient term because he's leaving out what that flirting entails. There's that minimization. This isn't batting your eyelashes, heart emojis, or passing a meatball back and forth with your nose. That's flirting. You were sexting. Then, after you get what you can out of the interaction, you go, "Oh no, you're underage," and then you block while you still have what you consider plausible deniability. A lot of people who are doing things that are untoward go as far as they can get away with going, and that's what I think happened here. James used a few clever tactics in his video. Pretty early on, he says he's been having conversations with his family, his friends, colleagues, etc. That is clever because he not only looks like the people in his life are holding him accountable, they're doing it with love because he's so lovable, and it looks like he has allies. They're not letting him get away with it, but what a legion of support. It's a very subtle argument ad populum. You should forgive me, everyone else is doing it. Don't you want to go with the crowd? Another important tactic, address only that which can be easily dismissed. This is why people need to have their ducks in a row before they criticize anyone online. Because when people post things that can be debunked by the accused, that is what the accused is going to latch onto. That's exactly what happened here. At one point, James thanks some drama channels, news outlets, and reporters for calling out someone proven to have made up falsehoods about him. Look how many people support him. He also says, in the same breath as taking accountability, that that particular Twitter person who he claims was proven false about the 20 victims of James Charles's thread they had, that person made up everything, and moving forward, James will not allow there to be one mention of his channel of one victim, much less 20. So no one was possibly harmed by him. Wow, he's used his time to really make himself feel innocent, hasn't he? He also thanked the one person he knew from high school who said he was accusing him for clout. See, everyone is supporting James, and anyone not is just accusing him for clout. And one guy was cool enough to admit it. Please don't buy that rubbish. It's my belief that if James Charles appears poised and sincere in his video, it's because he truly believes, like most P-words, that he's innocent, that the problem is everyone else's. It's an arrogance. I will say it again. Had this been the first time, or maybe even the second, I might have given him the benefit of the doubt. Doubt becomes removed when you use the same excuse. Oh boy, next time I'm going to check that age, believe you me. I'm not taking anyone's word for it. Then bingo, a kid whose picture, by the way, should have raised suspicion, a kid who has his age on other platforms that could have easily been checked, becomes the latest thing that victimizes James in his poor, lonely ivory tower of fame. James then employs an oldie but a goodie, muddying the waters by saying that anyone making a video about him goes viral. Any guy saying my experience with JC will get 6 million views. Now he has a point to consider there, because some people do things for clout. But even if all that smoke came from a clout fire, you still did what you did. People using that for clout is a separate issue that you don't get to use as the ejection button to the hot seat you are on for your own inappropriate behavior. I'm really sick of these young people saying they take ownership of things and they don't even remotely know what it means. James says he can only hope that there are people out there who will let someone learn and grow. See that? James is offering you friendship for being one of the good ones. If you're on his side, if you allow him to learn and grow, then he really appreciates you. Who is stopping that, by the way? Yes, you have a right to learn and grow and pay consequences. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Imagine how empty our overcrowded prisons would be if I'm learning and growing could erase any need for penalties for breaking the law. Moreover, there's a reason our justice system does not accept ignorance of the law, particularly when it comes to minors, because every P-word out there would use that line, and children need to be protected. Among other lame assertions James took out of retirement, the "I was just looking for love" defense is back and bolder than ever. He dusted this one off, and I find this to be perhaps the weakest. I know things have changed, the times have changed since I started dating as a young adult, and while it's true I became active as an adult more than a decade before James Charles was even a romantic evening. He was born in 99, so let's see. Yeah, let's not do the math. Point is, as much as times have changed, one thing has not. If you order up sex like a pizza with different people all the time, you're not looking for love. I'm not S-shaming, as it were. If I could have ordered up sex like a pizza, I would have been using that app in my youth. Sure, I probably would have had an imaginary STD Gabby Hanna could warn men about. But I know when I was looking for a boyfriend, it would be time to date, not hook up. That was true even before the noonie man at your house in 30 minutes or less apps. I believe the public claim of "I'm just looking for love" is deliberate. We've all seen players use the lonely card. He's done this for a long time. Still no boyfriend. James then goes on to tell us how he's learning to not be so vulnerable and to protect himself. God, I'm so glad he's learning so much. He says moving forward, he's going to protect himself. He takes full accountability for allowing himself to be a victim. He knows it's his own fault he's been a victim of terrible people. Are you listening, young men? James wants you to know he is single and ready to mingle, and he is going to be so careful. This time, he means it. Speaking of being careful, James mentions at one point when he invites men over, he now asks them to leave their phone at the door. Well, there's great prevention. What could possibly go wrong now? Turns out a lot, because one guy made him uncomfortable, and when James asked him to leave, he apparently punched James in the face. Now, James is 22, but his parents need to chat with him. That's terrifying. Seriously, I'm afraid for him. I don't want anything bad to happen to him, and he's telling the world how to get right in the front door of his mansion. Not good. At 21 minutes in, James thanks people so much for listening, if they have listened that long. Is he coming for my gig? But he just wants you to know how much that means to him. He says he knows it would, as he put it, be stupid to come back to social media and pretend like nothing happened. He said that at the beginning too. Way to tell people you're strategizing. Is that the only reason to address things? Because you know if you didn't address this, no one would let it go and you wouldn't be able to continue? Sure sounds like you're biting the bullet and making this very open one-way conversation video, hoping that you're giving people their pound of flesh and they'll be satisfied so you can move on and face no consequences. The only question that remains for me is, will James Charles find a way to control his impulses, appetites, now that he knows he can never, ever play the oopsie card again? He pushed that too far a time or two for many people as it is, myself included. This goes so far beyond lying to start your career, stealing looks and passing them off as your own, and then later maybe trickling in some credit or stealing music. I've said this before and I will say it again. James Charles, stay away from minors. I am livid that I even have to say this same thing again. That All of us had said he better not, he won't even dare do it again. And then he did it again. If I even get one whiff of him doing this again, having another accident with someone underage, I will be the first person in line at the Home Depot to buy my pitchfork and torch for the Cancel James Charles tour. As the video goes on, James really breaks precedent and gives credit to the influencer whose look he's duplicating right there in the video. I mean, he's done that a time or two, but we all know there's some times where he just forgot. He then encourages his young audience to get vaccinated. His philanthropy is going to make me cry. Get vaccinated, and he goes into the details of that. And oh, the blast he had for his 22nd birthday. Turns out a big part of growing and learning is partying hard. He lamented that he couldn't post on social media for his party because it was so much fun. Oh my God. We ran around and there were golf balls and games. He said there were so many sides to him that you don't all know. I haven't seen this much virtue signaling since James went around to a couple of animal shelters to pet dogs up for adoption before getting his pure breed. By the way, nothing wrong with getting a purebred dog if that's what you can commit to. Everything born needs a home, right? But don't lie about it and make a show of going to the pound with your adopt don't shop BS and then say a pure breed just fell in your lap. It's just another little way that this guy tells you he's a liar and thinks nothing of even lying casually. And finally, James wraps up his video saying how much he loves his rainbow shadow eye look and saying with soft music playing in the background that he hopes it can be a new beginning and hopefully a really beautiful one. Oh, what a lovely sentiment. Now, in this new beginning you're giving yourself, stay the hell away from people's children, or the only new beginning you're going to have is going to be in San Quentin. Well, if you've listened this far, I so appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is obviously something I'm a little fired up about, and I hope people aren't going to let it just disappear into the ether and not have this person ever pay any consequences. At the very least, I want him to know all the time that all eyes are on him, and he's not going to get away with it. He's 22. He needs to date people his own age or pack it up. Bye for now. Until next time, Hausfrau out.